Bonjour et bienvenue de Cartier Style et Luxe, ici à Bombois.
Yes, I'm Jonny Smith from The Late Break Show.
I'm Richard Porter from Sniff Petrol. Together we are Smith and Sniff.
Now you join us at the Cartier Style Luxe lawn. In fact, this is my favourite particular part of the Festival of Speed, the lawn just outside the house.
Yes.
There's various anniversaries, accolades that get celebrated here, but let's start with the stuff behind me and to my right. Now you've heard of Bugatti, it's a fairly well-known brand.
Yes, I've heard of them.
The Veyron, we recently discovered, came out 20 years ago in 2005. That is a 20-year-old supercar.
We're getting old, Jonathan.
I know.
20 years ago. You might remember when the Veyron came out because a lot of headlines attached to it. It had that incredible W16 quad turbo engine in the middle, making 987 horsepower, 1001 PS if you're metric, and it could do 253 miles an hour. The board down there says 252.
It does.
It's a rounding error, I think, because it was quoted originally in kilometres an hour. The main thing is it was an incredibly fast car. We thought, well, that engine, that's it. It's maxed out at 987 horsepower. But no, the Veyron evolved. It became a convertible of sorts, a targa roof. And most mind-bogglingly, it became, in the Super Sport over there, even more powerful, almost 1,200 horsepower. And of course that engine got even more powerful in the Chiron. But it also, then they took the roof off and gave it more power. It's evolved, but it stayed amazing. And some of the headlines about it, it has 10 radiators, only 3 to cool the engine.
I think the thing about this car was it was allegedly a lost leader. I don't think they ever made any money on it.
Not a penny. There's one rumour that allegedly Volkswagen Group lost €5 million per car.
And the thing about the Veyron is it predates YouTube, which is what you're watching this on, just to make it feel a little bit older. In period, when it came out, I always thought it looked a little bit underwhelming. For me, the draw was the engineering pornography of it all.
Yeah.
The packaging that you just talked about, all the componentry in a quite small car. And I've driven a Veyron once and I've been a passenger in another one another time. It feels like when you're on the road at normal road speed, it bizarrely feels very easy and very kind of together and TT-esque.
Yes, well, because anyone can whack a big engine into a car, turn the turbos up and go, let's drive really fast in a straight line. But this had to go through all of VW's normal quality, safety, drivability checks, just as a Polo would. Even to the fact that all the stats, they figure it with 2 adults in it to try and make it more realistic and fair.
Yeah.
So this was designed to crawl in traffic in downtown Tokyo, but then blaze across the desert at 253 miles an hour. The tyres are an interesting part of this car because originally, to do that top speed, they said, well, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to call us and we will send an engineer out. They will put on special high-speed tyres. They will unlock the ECU into high-speed mode. And then when you're done, we'll put it all back to the way it was. And then Michelin went, actually, do you know what? I think we can handle this. So those tyres, very expensive tyres,
Yes.
can trundle around and do all the normal stuff, and then they can handle maximum speed runs as well.
Yeah.
That in itself is engineering witchcraft.
We could talk about it. There's so many stats. I mean, I remember part of the service packages, you had to change the wheels at a certain point in the service schedule because they might have fatigued if you were doing lots of 250 mile an hour Waitrose runs. and so, you had to change the wheels as well as the tyres. But look, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Veyrons here.
Yeah.
7 Rons.
This, though, is particularly interesting because this is the 5th and final prototype. This is the car that was used for a lot of the high-speed testing. It's got a few differences between this and the production car. The most notable one is these vents on the front wing and into the door that were supposed to aid high-speed stability, and in the end they decided they weren't necessary. So that's a detail that's unique to this car. But
and
also,
a name that
it
wasn't
has Pierre Veyron, the racing driver that the car's named after. It has his signature badge on the door, and they didn't. You can see that's a 2005 Veyron there, doesn't have it. But also this car, after it had finished being an engineering prototype, was tidied up, retrimmed, and it became the personal transport of the godfather of the Veyron, the man who made all these insane demands about this car that his engineers had to meet, Ferdinand Piëch. This was his car. Well, he deserved it, hadn't he? Should we go and look over there?
Yes, we should.
Something else being celebrated here on the Cartier Lawn is 60 years of Alpina, the revered BMW tuner. Backstory to this, a chap called Burkhard Bovensiepen had a Porsche 356 and a growing family. They were getting too big for the Porsche. He traded it in for a BMW 1500 and found it rather slow. So he built his own carburettor. They are slow, but not when Burkhardt had his hands on it. Built his own carb to give it a bit more pep. Worked so well, he built more, sold them to other people. BMW cottoned onto this. They said, we like the cut of your jib. We will endorse this product. And buoyed by this, Burkhardt said, I'm going to start modifying entire BMWs. Where to do it? Well, as luck would have it, Burkhardt's dad made typewriters, but he'd sold the typewriter firm, also called Alpina, in 1962.
Alpina typewriters.
So Burkhardt said, Dad, can I use the old typewriter factory to modify BMWs? And in 1965 he started doing that. And that's how we end up with things like this.
So hence the logo having a carburettor on it?
Yes.
Right. Let's talk about this E30 behind me, 1986 B6. This car is unbelievably flawless. It was in continuous ownership for 37 years and it started as a 2.8 litre. A year after collecting the car personally from Mr. Bovensiepen, and got free ski jackets, by the way, with the car, apparently. Yes, which is cool. Took it back and went, I think I want more power. I want the 3.5 litre. So they put the M30 engine in that had been obviously warmed over. This thing kicks out 261 horsepower. I was just looking at it a minute ago. I know how small and light an E30 is.
Yeah.
That would have been quick then, and it would still feel really quick now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
This actual car is owned by the DJ, Carl Cox, and he says that when he drives it, he doesn't listen to house music. He listens to Tamla Motown. And I think that sort of says quite a lot about Alpina. They're not trying too hard, but they're very tasteful, and the craftsmanship, just like a Tamla Motown record, is exquisite. We've got some more examples here. That's a B9 with, again, the 3.5 M30 engine in it, like that. 6 Series here. These are lovely. This is a B7 Turbo. Neat touch, shows Alpina's attention to detail. This had very slightly more power than the equivalent 7 Series because that was very slightly heavier. Thoughtful.
Signature Alpina green colour. You're looking at the greens like I am going, don't they look amazing? Well, I've said this before earlier on a couple of other Goodwood videos. Green is having a massive renaissance in new car purchases, and second-hand, classic cars in green are gaining in value because green is such a damn cool colour, I think.
Unless you're my late grandfather who said green cars were unlucky. These stripes down the side, a bit of an Alpina trademark. They're officially known as the Deco set, in case you were wondering.
There's we can't walk past the E21. The E21 Alpine's the first Alpina I ever saw.
Okay.
I think. I did a recent barn find on an E21 BMW, and then a week later, I've actually had information from someone who's found one of those on someone's front drive in Birmingham that I must go and investigate. But it does not look like that.
No, I can imagine.
That car, I think what I love about Alpina is the fact that initially you think, oh, it's just some stickers and some Fandango wheels, as they'd say in the 70s, but actually, the full Alpina package is so much more than that.
Yeah. Well, that's it. I think they're the very epitome of if you know, you know. But usually, with all of these cars here, pretty much, Alpina will have gone through it. They will have brought up the engine power, but often they've, in fact, enhanced efficiency, so they can be slightly more economical as well. And then they'll change springs, dampers, everything to make the ride and handling better. But this is interesting. Because obviously it's an 8 Series, it's very of its time. It's got those vents in the bonnet that weren't standard on the BMW.
Oh,
and a knacker duct, which
yeah,
makes everything better. But what's interesting about this car is, it's based on the 850 CSI. They took the 5.6 litre V12 out to 5.7 litres, a bit more power. But Alpina was so impressed with BMW's chassis tune on the CSI version of this car, they only changed the front springs just to lower it slightly. The rest, they left as factory, which is quite unusual for them.
Yeah. Now Alpina celebrating 60th birthday. There's something else celebrating 60th birthday. It's slightly more practical, definitely slower.
It's here.
You any good at singing?
No.
Because you should sing happy birthday and get your candles out.
All right.
Because it's the 60th birthday of the Ford Transit this year. This legend here is 60. Now, the thing about the Ford Transit is it's been popular between builders, blaggers, aspiring rock stars, probably actual rock stars, and people that simply want to deliver a package from one place to another. Yeah.
Now, what made the Transit slightly revolutionary was that it was kind of wider tracked. A lot of vans at the time were very sort of knock-kneed and narrow track and a bit wobbly, and this, take the wheels out, makes it more stable, nicer to drive. It had in UK Transits a homegrown V4 engine that Ford created with this in mind, so the nose could be nice and short so you're not wasting space. But crucially, it didn't make the occupants sit on the engine like most vans at the time, so it's more comfortable and not as hot.
Yeah.
Also, and this is very important to the Transit's success, because the wheels were further out, the load bay could take a pallet, standard size pallet, and that was a major, major selling point. Also, on a really nerdy industry note, Ford of Germany and Ford of Britain in those days were separate and in bitter rivalry. But this was the first project they worked on together in harmony that led to what we have now, which is Ford of Europe as one harmonious blob.
If you want to make it motor racing connected, lots of racing drivers started their life towing their race vehicles with one of these and probably sleeping in them, like Tiff Needell as well. But there's also the super vans here, which were the Uber versions, the PR stunt versions of that lovely humble van. That's actually a prototype.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's one of the first prototypes. So it's registered in '65, but it actually existed way before that. Ford used it to debug the whole project. There are various other vans here. There's this
Bedford CA. Love the Bedford CA. I've never had one. I had a comma, similar looking thing.
The thing is, though, you can see it's a bit more knock-kneed, it's a bit smaller, it's a bit sort of gawkier and less useful. That's from '69, so that was now having to fight against this new, whizzy, exciting Transit. Got an Austin 101 here. It's basically a Morris J-type. Once upon a time, they were everywhere when the world was black and white.
They were, and there's a company remaking this van in carbon fibre and electric form. They did have optional, I think, rubber arches.
The post office ones did.
Yes.
Post office vans, Morris Minor vans and all sorts of other vans that the post office used to use had rubber front wings so posties could bash into people and not cause too much damage. Really nerdy thing about this van, it's got these little bump stops here because one of the selling points was these back doors opened fully back round, so you had a huge aperture to put things in, but still not pallet sized.
Now that sounds amazing. This will not sound like that.
No, but I wanted to talk about this because I think in a way it's almost the most curious and interesting thing here. This is a Lancia van. It's based on the Ardea, which was a saloon launched in 1939, but they did a van version. A lot of people probably don't know Lancia used to make vans. A lot of people probably don't know Lancia still make cars, but
Lancia used to make the most advanced cars.
They really did. This has a little compact V4, but the Ardea was also the world's first mass production car with a 5-speed gearbox. So this is pretty techy.
I love it. I noticed it was right-hand drive too.
Yeah, Lancia used to make cars in right-hand drive, but let's not get bogged down in why that was. It's a bit weird. Anyway,
we need to come over here because we might have saved my favourite till last on the Cartier Lawn.
This is a really special bit of the Cartier Lawn this year. It's dedicated to the French company Facel Vega. Their story starts as a manufacturer of bodies for other car companies. But then they rebodied some Bentleys with a shell designed by Pininfarina and called the Cresta. From there, the company's boss, Jean Danino, said, I'm going to do my own thing. This is what he came up with. It's the Cresta 2. It's still a Bentley Mark 6 underneath. You can see it's got Bentley badge, grille, wheels, but it's Fasel's own body. He just made one of these. He took it around various shows to show what Facel would be capable of, repainted it every so often to make it look like a new car. And when he was done showing it off, he gave it to his wife, which is very nice. But by then he'd got the bit between his teeth. He wanted Facel to be a car company in its own right. So from making this in 1951, by 1954, Facel Vega as a car maker was born, as Jonny is about to explain over there.
Come 1954, Facel Vega decided, right, that's it, we're going to make our own car from the ground up, and it was called the FV. It had actually, I say ground up, it was actually an American V8 that was under the bonnet. It was a DeSoto 5.4 litre, but clothed in French stylish coupe. They say Parisienne panache with American punch. This is not an FV. This is a 1958 HK 500. This, in my view, is one of the prettiest, coolest cars of all time, and it is on my bucket list. The HK 500 had a Chrysler V8. First of all, a 5.4 small block, and then a 383 big block, akin to the V8 that's under the bonnet of my Dodge Charger. But look at what it's clothed in, this amazing French coach-built bodywork with wraparound windscreen that was so popular at the time. Really, really elegant glass house. And look at those tail lights that droop down there. Honestly, from so many angles, this is one of the coolest looking, beautiful cars of all time. And it had that great recipe, reliable, simple American muscle, but with the elegance of the bodywork. What a thing. This was actually the UK demonstrator car, being a very rare right-hand drive, with an amazingly deep dish steering wheel. And I forgot to say when we were looking at the Transit van earlier on, the Transit van's always had an amazingly sporty steering wheel for what is just a commercial vehicle. But then they made another Facel Vega, that one over there that's next to Richard.
Yes, what they came up with was this, the Facel 2. Like Ghostbusters and Godfather, arguably 2 was just as good. It was based on the 500 over there that Jonny was looking at, but longer and lower. Still a very beautifully put together car. That lovely leather interior, wooden dashboard that's actually not wood, it's painted to look like wood. Weird detail. Still though, so elegant, so glamorous. Ringo Starr had one of those. In fact, Fasil Vega's attracted celebrity customers. Pablo Picasso had one, Sterling Moss had one, Ava Gardner, Dean Martin, Albert Camus died in a Facel Vega. And you'd think with that celebrity patronage, this would be a buoyant and successful company, but mais non. And then they really spoilt things because in the model range, they went for the hat trick. This was their third car, the Facelia. It was meant to be smaller, more affordable, sort of pitched around Mercedes SL sort of thing. They wanted a 4-cylinder engine for it, but they decided no French car maker made one powerful enough. So, and this is where it really went wrong, they decided to make their own. It was a disaster.
It's always the worst idea.
Always the worst. Underdeveloped engine, massive reliability problems, huge warranty claims. It bankrupted the company. And so the French government bailed it out in a last-ditch attempt to make it a success. They replaced this car with an identical looking one, the Facel 3, there's one there, but it had a Volvo engine. It wasn't enough, and in 1964, Facel Vega, c'est mort.
And it's such a shame because it is one of my dream cars. That and a Citroën SM, peak French car for me.
Peak.
But if you do come to the Festival of Speed, you always have to come to the Cartier Lawn. We can't possibly cover all the cars that are here, but we've done our best to give it a good shot. Thanks for watching.
Bye.